pee. I'm laying in the sand. I just pee because I know I'm gonna get up and go in the water anyway. So
Wait a minute.
You're an animal. Come on, no.
On the beach,
I
it's
don't
like
do
on
that.
the sand.
So
You're sitting there and you
homeless
piss on
people.
yourself.
Yeah.
That's what dogs do at the beach.
last time I was at the St. Augustine with Tracy, and then the week before I was in New Smyrna.
Why is she still with you?
I don't think she knows.
Does she
that.
do it too?
No. I don't have a towel under me. I'm just sitting in the sand, just chilling in the
just
sand.
piss yourself.
And I just
Hot piss.
pee. Yeah, I'll pee. It really doesn't. It doesn't bother me. I don't know why. It just.
This
But
is
I
a
get.
mentally ill
I don't
person.
sit there. I don't
I know
sit
why.
there. Listen.
You keep me standing tall. You help me through it all. I'm always down when you're beside me. I have always needed you. I could never make it alone. I am a man who will fight for your honor. I'll be the hero you've been dreaming of. We'll live forever, knowing together that we did it all for the glory of love. We'll live forever, knowing together that we did it all for the glory of love.
You have a booger. Don't!
Is it in the mustache?
You
Oh, I'm gonna throw up.
motherfucker! You had a booger in your mustache. Rewind the tape. You have a booger.
You're listening to A Mediocre Time with Tom and Dan.
Thank you for downloading.
Well, welcome to A Mediocre Time with Tom and Dan.
Tom.
Ross is over there. Samantha's over there.
Did you ever think to your life, like, what happens? Like, all three of us are married.
What?
Past our prime as adult.
No, I'm just
men.
entering it.
No, and
Just entering it.
what would you do? Did you ever think to yourself, what would you do actually if you got a divorce? Like Ross, when you've been married, kids, life.
That's an excellent
so long,
question.
like, could you go back into party mode? Because I can imagine you would obviously you turn into late night.
Oh, he'd be stand-up king.
Stand up all
the king of
around
stand-up.
town.
I think technically I would get alimony too.
You'd be-
because I'm not joking because I left my job to take care of the kids,
you're
and I have a certain lifestyle that I'm accustomed to.
You'd be Louis C. KFC. I'm sorry, Rob.
But it would, But on the other hand, it would like kill me inside not to be around my wife and kids.
Because he's divorced with kids, right? He's got tons of kids.
Louis CKFC is the funniest joke I've ever made.
That's you, Rob.
You're listening to A Mediocre Time with Tom and Dan.
Thank you for downloading.
Half of it is like showing Florida and like it's kind of like Travel Channel thing, like, oh, look at the fucking Florida dolphin and like the Florida waterways, and then you incorporate restaurants and stuff. And
I like
a
it.
horny Captain Tom, hammer drunk slurring the second half of the show.
That's the best half of the show. See, they're gonna if it does happen, you're gonna have to.
They want some network producer like, we like this guy. He's so fucking horny.
Yeah.
He's drunk as shit.
He gets hammered.
Like, that's what we need. We need the edge.
Yeah, they're gonna like that.
So, and then next thing you know, I'm fucking drunk all the time. My wife divorced me.
Yeah, you're making payments to your baby. Okay. You and Val show up for visitation.
Val doesn't like me. Val dates wrestlers that are ripped out of fat nerd dads.
Here we go, Tommy. We got you the latest set of TNA action figures. Those are all signed, by the way, boy.
I get into wrestling. I dabble in wrestling. I get into TNA. I have to do HGH because
Ladies and gentlemen, the Intercontinental title, Captain Tom. Oh yeah!
I come out there, tiny sailor dudes. I got a hat.
Yeah, you do your signature move, which is the drunken dolphin,
the tugboat.
You and Val show for visitation. You're like, she's like, "Where's the baby? Where's the carrier? You can ride on the back of my West Coast chopper."
Get a West Coast chopper. It's all old. I bought one.
Old school Jesse James West Coast chopper.
I bought one like used off some fucking celebrity that like doesn't even fucking need it.
All right, look at this OCC. What an orange kind of chopper.
The baby has to sit on just that little suction cup seat because there's only one seat.
Little bitch pad on the fender.
Yeah. And then I tried to do a backflip off the ropes, but I don't have it anymore. I land straight on my neck, paralyzed. Then Val leaves me because I'm fucking quadriplegic, and it's the saddest. Then the same people who filmed they film a documentary on my life, and I'm blowing into a straw.
Now you just sit at the dock.
And then Mickey Rourke portrays you in The Wrestler 2.
You just sit at the dock of the Sunset Cafe and watch some other guy wreck into the dock.
I just blow in my fucking straw.
That could have been me.
That was me.
Oh, that's my life, buddy.
Do you remember the Big Red Boat? It was called the Premier Cruise Line Big Red Boat, and all of their boats to like distinguish themselves from everybody else, the whole bottom of them was painted red. It's kind of a cool idea, and they were known to be like kind of a hip, like party boat, and then eventually they went into business or Carnival or one of the other ones bought them.
Yeah.
So I remember it was one of the very first monster cruises. We did the whole monster cruise band on board. Boy, that's fucking great. And I had the bass that, remember the bass that got stolen?
Yeah.
Before it got stolen, I had it in that same soft bag, and that, I think it was the same black guy that we talked about, who, by the way, was on this cruise.
No, okay, yeah.
You remember Doo-Doo Everywhere Man? He was on this cruise.
I know.
I didn't say one word about it because he looked at me, I looked at him. We're like, we know what you did. and so that guy, before the Doo-Doo incident, this guy obviously has he did something wrong where the doo-doo gods are against him, because I think it was his room that started, or maybe it was Justin Cook back in the day. It was somebody I know, like a long-time listener. Their shit started spraying out of, and so it started flooding the floor. Yeah. Well, my room was next door. My room had water. I had bunk beds.
Yeah.
Like I was staying in one of those like rooms for like. Not necessarily like married couples or whatever. It's just like you get a roommate. And
it had beds that folded up and down. Yeah,
thank you. And I was on the top bunk, had the thing folded down, had my base on the very top. So I had to literally go in my room, tiptoeing through shit water, climb the thing up, get my base down, because it was starting to the water was up like to my knees.
Oh my God.
And I'm in poop water. I make my way out, and then they were like, watchy, happy. Spray my feet off.
Yeah.
It's probably why I'm in poor health to this day. I get contaminated.
Like, I remember there's another ship on the Gulf.
Oh, dude, the mooring line snapped. Dude, not the mooring line. One of on this same boat.
Smokestack line?
So we come back out to the actual deck, right? And because they're like, hey, we're going to shut this area off until we can get it drained, and then they'll get in there with the wet, dry vacs and clean up all the poop. And one of the wires that comes from the smokestack and goes all the way down to the pool area snaps and goes whoosh, and whips through and whipped a fucking PVC picnic table in half.
Really?
And if it had hit a person, it literally just cut them.
It
just whipped their head off.
Mm-hmm. That's
2019 cruise.
So
if you want this type of adventure,
you want your picnic table.
Do you want to walk in shit water and whip your head off? 2019 cruise. Email Tony Palmiani. No, Jackson.
You're listening to A Mediocre Time with Tom and Dan.
Thank you for downloading.
Half of it is like showing Florida and like it's kind of like Travel Channel thing, like, oh, look at the fucking Florida dolphin and like the Florida waterways, and then you incorporate restaurants and stuff. And
I like
a horny Captain Tom, hammer drunk slurring the second half of the show.
That's the best half of the show. See, they're gonna if it does happen, you're gonna have to.
They want some network producer like, we like this guy. He's so fucking horny. Yeah. He's drunk as shit.
He gets hammered.
Like, that's what we need. We need the edge.
Yeah, they're gonna like that.
So, and then next thing you know, I'm fucking drunk all the time. My wife divorced me.
Yeah, you're making payments to your baby. Okay. You and Val show up for visitation.
Val doesn't like me. Val dates wrestlers that are ripped out of fat nerd dads.
Here we go, Tommy. We got you the latest set of TNA action figures.
Those are all signed, by the way, boy.
I get into wrestling. I dabble in wrestling. I get into TNA. I have to do HGH because
ladies and gentlemen, the Intercontinental title, Captain Tom.
Oh yeah! I come out there, tiny sailor dukes. I got a hat.
Yeah, you do your signature move, which is the drunken dolphin,
the tugboat.
You and Val show over visitation. You're like, she's like, "Where's the baby? Where's the carrier? Or you can ride on the back of my West Coast chopper."
Get a West Coast chopper. It's all old. I bought one.
Old school Jesse James West Coast chopper.
I bought one like used off some fucking celebrity that like doesn't even fucking need it.
All right, look at this OCC. What an Orange County chopper.
The baby has to sit on just that little suction cup seat because there's only one seat.
Little bitch pad on the
fender.
Yeah.
And then I tried to do a backflip off the ropes, but I don't have it anymore. I landed straight on my neck, paralyzed. Then Val leaves me because I'm fucking quadriplegic. And it's the saddest. Then the same people who filmed they film a documentary on my life, and I'm blowing into a straw.
Now you just sit at the dock.
And then Mickey Rourke portrays you in The Wrestler 2.
You just sit at the dock of the Sunset Cafe and watch some other guy wreck into the dock.
I just blow in my fucking straw.
That could have been me.
That was me.
Oh, that's my life, buddy.
Do you remember the Big Red Boat? It was called the Premier Cruise Line Big Red Boat, and all of their boats to like distinguish themselves from everybody else. The whole bottom of them was painted red. It's kind of a cool idea, and they were known to be like kind of a hip, like party boat, and then eventually they went into business or Carnival or one of the other ones bought them.
Yeah.
So I remember it was one of the very first monster cruises. We did the whole monster cruise band on board. Boy, that's fucking great. And I had the bass that, remember the bass that got stolen?
Yeah.
Before it got stolen, I had it in that same soft bag, and that, I think it was the same black guy that we talked about, who, by the way, was on this cruise.
No, okay, yeah.
You remember Doo-Doo Everywhere, Man? He was on this cruise.
I know.
I didn't say one word about it because he looked at me, I looked at him. We're like, we know what you did. and so that guy, before the Doo-Doo incident, this guy obviously has he did something wrong where the doo-doo gods are against him, because I think it was his room that started, or maybe it was Justin Cook back in the day. It was somebody I know, like a long-time listener. Their shit started spraying out of, and it started flooding the floor. Yeah. Well, my room was next door. My room had water. I had bunk beds.
Yeah.
Like I was staying in one of those like rooms for like. Not necessarily like married couples or whatever. It's just like you get a roommate. And
it had beds that folded up and down. Yeah,
thank you. And I was on the top bunk, had the thing folded down, had my base on the very top. So I had to literally go in my room, tiptoeing through shit water, climb the thing up, get my base down, because it was starting to the water was up like to my knees.
Oh my God.
And I'm in poop water. I make my way out, and then they were like, watchy, happy. Spray my feet off.
Yeah.
It's probably why I'm in poor health to this day. I get contaminated.
Like, I remember there's another ship on the Gulf.
Oh, dude, the mooring line snapped. Dude, not the mooring line. One of on this same boat.
Smokestack line?
So we come back out to the actual deck, right? And because they're like, hey, we're going to shut this area off until we can get it drained, and then they'll get in there with the wet, dry vacs and clean up all the poop. And one of the wires that comes from the smokestack and goes all the way down to the pool area snaps and goes whoosh, and whips through and whipped a fucking PVC picnic table in half.
Really?
And if it had hit a person, it literally just cut them.
Yeah.
Just whipped their head off.
Mm-hmm. That's
2019 cruise.
So if you want this type of adventure,
you want your picnic table.
Do you want to walk in shit water and whip your head off? 2019 cruise. Email Tony Palmiani. No, text me.
You're listening to A Mediocre Time with Tom and Dan.
Thank you for downloading.
Half of it is like showing Florida, and like it's kind of like Travel Channel thing, like, oh, look at the fucking Florida dolphin and like the Florida waterways, and then you incorporate restaurants and stuff. And
I like
a horny Captain Tom, hammer drunk slurring the second half of the show.
That's the best half of the show. See, they're gonna if it does happen, you're gonna have to.
The best to you from Kmart Radio. KMRT.
I've been selling these jokes, talking all day, working all hours, making podcasts to play for the slobs out here waste their lives away. Do events down in Sanford, drink our troubles away. It's a damn shame what our world's gotten to for perverts like me, hippos like you. Wish I could just wake up, but it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is living in a cruel world with a slam honk. Tom and Dan from south of Sanford, Lord knows all they wanna do is just talk. Wanna know what your job, wanna know what you do, and they don't think you know, 'cause they're better than you. It's $2.95, and you thank the good Lord. It's the Tom and Dan word in the south of Sanford. Hello.
Live from the Injured on the Go Just Call Mo.
Heart of my heart, I love you. Life would be naught without you. Light of my life, my darling, I love you. I love you. I can forget you never. From you I ne'er can sever. Say you'll be mine forever. I love you.
Loyalty Society of Tom and Dan, founders, BDM members, casual listeners, and the corporate time with Tom and Dan radio fans. Allow us to introduce our strangest and most unique project to date, the Tom and Dan House, Sanford. Be our guest, the DMs deserve the best. Get your fat ass down to Sanford and then we can do the rest. Craft beer pints, German food, locals strive to not be rude. Catch a live show at the West End, this is not the time for resting. You can dance, you can sing, hell, pull out your ding-a-ling. And in the night with your very own rest, go on and check our site, we're hoping you just might be our guest, you're the best to be our guest. Rent a cart, rent a bike, rent a hooker, am I right? Use our house for all your cheating, tell your wife it's just a meeting. Bachelor party, guys night out, got you covered, there's no doubt. All we ask is please no smoking and clean up your poo-poo poking. Brand new beds, big TV, and as added courtesy, we've installed a larger toilet than the rest. So if you are obese, you take a shit in peace. Be our guest, be our guest. Our listeners are the best. Be our guest, be our guest, be our guest. Whew.
Live from the Injured on the Go Just Call Mo studio.
It's a blast!
It's Orlando's own Tom and Dan.
Hello. This is your mediocre time with Tom and Dan program. We hope that you will find our presentation precise, joke heavy, and just right. Thanks.
Welcome to the Friday free show of A Mediocre Time.
Hey, it is another A Mediocre Time with Tom and Dan. I'm Dan.
I'm Tom.
Samantha, our producer's here. Hello, Sam.
Hey.
The computer's gone crazy.
That's fine.
Nothing I can do about it. On the couch from the Orlando talk show with himself. Also, he has a show that I bought my tickets to, and I printed them out, and they're right here, Mr. Ross McCoy.
Buckle up, snowflakes.
There you go. Buckle up indeed. Welcome to the show, everybody. We're glad to have you.
Was this the week of people being offended by everything?
This is, there's some problems with the computer, so just don't mind me. Carry on, Tom. Carry on.
A couple things. We got the Mo Comedy Jam coming up September 15th. Now, there are limited tickets left. I'm telling you, get your tickets now. This thing will sell out. There's special guests being added. We can't talk about yet.
There's tacos being added.
Free tacos?
Me and Daniel are going to be out there. Ross
Hold
is
on,
hosting
pause.
it.
I booked that show. Who the fuck are they adding?
I'll tell you off air.
Mo is...
Busdecker, you got to run this shit by me, dude.
Yeah, Mo is losing
shit.
his mind. He's just pumping out more and more fun stuff for you guys.
You said tacos. You didn't mention that they're free fucking tacos.
I
This
did.
man,
I said free tacos.
This man is going to buy a taco truck and park it out there at Tuffy's and just give tacos away to you fucking
like
assholes.
that. Open bar. Open bar of
Mo's
tacos.
a good one.
And all the money that the ticket money goes to Yellow Brick Road Foundation. Like it's a charity event, so you are donating to an awesome cause that we supported for years, Yellow Brick Road Foundation.
I'm hoping we can get Trey up on stage and embarrass him again.
Buy your tickets at mocomedyjam.com.
Yes, sir.
And also, we've got a merch deal that Eric just told me about, which I think is too much. Why can't we give 5% off? It's 50%. No, that's what I want to do.
Well,
Either 50%.
If this computer is doing what I think it's doing, then we need to save as much as we can. So, what is the deal?
It's 50% off this weekend only using code LABOR50 for Labor Day.
For the mediocre tar hats and shirts, not for everything. And it's all caps, LABOR50.
Oh, yeah, this is like what we did with the Elstone pizzas.
Make sure you read it correctly, so you're not just saying that all the merch is 50% off.
Yeah,
It's just the mediocre tar hats and shirts. They're right at the top of
the baseball
the
stuff.
website. Yeah.
I'll say anything.
Well, then you're going to be giving everything away for 50%.
No, there's nothing. If you go there, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
And you're like,
this guy's an idiot.
Well, then they might just log out and not know that they can get at least the mediocre tar merch.
They'll send a shitty email to Dan first.
Yeah, exactly. It always comes to me.
I'll get zero repercussions.
This shit rolls
from this.
Dan Hill. There you go. Boom.
And we've got a special BDM show on Monday and a special ACTN show on Monday for Labor Day.
ACTN show? What is that? Oh, my God.
You know.
It's very offensive week, I'm telling
what
you.
does that mean?
Is our guest on Zoom?
Oh, my God.
Forgot about them.
Yeah, I did.
Our
I
whole
forgot.
computer is
I forgot about it, too.
throwing them for a loop.
That's what I'm a little bit worried about. So, I mean, we're in there. Let's see. Uh-oh.
No, our computer is...
You did compensate for the time zones, right? You told them the time zone.
Well, it's obvious.
Okay.
He knows we're in Florida. No, I'm joking. I think now when I'm like trying to talk to
I got him.
any professional, I always say Eastern. Just in case I don't know they're in California or wherever they're at.
I got Dan, but I don't know if he's going to be able to see us because this computer's gone crazy. Oh, there he is. Hey, we can see you, but you're just going to see our friend Ross on the couch.
Lucky.
Hey,
it's good to see you, man. How you doing?
I'm good. Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Oh, man, anytime. We're having a computer crisis, but you know all about those because you podcast.
With us on Zoom, he's got a new special out on YouTube. It just came out Monday, Trying to Get Better, comedian and our friend Dan Cummins. How you doing, Dan?
I'm good, man. Yeah. Things are good. I'm happy that people seem to be liking the special so far. So that's always the anxiety before you put it out there.
So Dan, tell me about what it takes behind the scenes to film a special, because I know that a lot of comedians do that now themselves, but I don't actually know what that costs or like what that entails.
You can do it all on the iPhone now.
Yeah, because everybody's like, it got cheaper and cheaper, and then I'm like, oh, like $1,500? I don't, I have no idea.
We just did like what Ross said. We just did like right before the show. We just kind of saw like who was out front, maybe not going to the show, and like what about $10 and just try and hold your phone still and just stand somewhere in the back. And we just did about 30 of those people. And then just, cut it together as best we could.
The key is to find a guy who's not sneezing. You want a guy not sneezing.
A steady man. Yeah. Reliable Joe.
No, a lot of comics will go through, a lot of the ones online, like if it's like Dry Bar or 800-Pound Gorilla, they'll go through it. They won't necessarily own it. They'll just go through somebody else's production company and, get some kind of revenue share or something. We did self-finance this one. And it was pretty spendy to make it like, look the same quality as you would see on Netflix.
It looks awesome. It like when I was watching it, one of the things I noticed is the camera angles are like, I don't even know how to say this, but like pleasing for the eyes. Like it's an easy, you want it to be pleasant, right? You want it aesthetically pleasing. It looked really, really good, man.
And Tom, if you're not familiar with the places he just mentioned, like there's a kind of a movement now where like a place will have a setup to film you while you perform, and that's kind of part of the compensation deal now. Like in town, that Milk District comedy show that Jake Ricker runs at Barley and Vine, they've got a real good setup. They've got it mic'd. They've got it lit real well. That's why like every video you see from an Orlando comic now is on that same fucking Barley and Vine stage, because they have a real good setup, and as part of the deal of performing there, you just get your video, you get your whole set filmed as a package.
Gotcha.
Yeah, we should have done that. No, we this place, we redesigned the set and like it, we brought in a crew to Minneapolis, and then a buddy of mine directed it who has done a lot of like mostly like reality show stuff, but it's like he's just a really talented, smart guy. But we kind of transformed that Parkway Theater. I think in the end, I don't know, it was about 80,000.
Whoa!
And I hope you did. I didn't see it yet, Dan, but I hope you did what every comic dreams to grow up and do, and get a giant couch like Gallagher.
Yeah, no, what's funny? Like we for a while there, we were toying with all these like, oh, what crazy set ideas should we do? And actually, Gallagher is somebody I thought of where it's like the fear for me, if you go too far with like a really oddball set, like it might be cool right now, but like in 15 years, the fear is it looks like what Gallagher looked like 15 years after his
it looks like you pulled your hat off and your hair came with it. Yeah.
Right. Like I don't want to be the equivalent of the guy roller skating out onto the stage and doing like little loops as he opens his set, because it doesn't age well.
Dude, my favorite is the guy who brings out a violin case and sets it down on the stool and then never fucking references it.
Yeah, don't acknowledge it.
That's my favorite.
There was actually it wasn't a special, but there was this happened there used to be a club in Sioux Falls, South Dakota called Nitwits, and a lot of good comics actually came through, and actually a couple good comics came out of that scene. But one of them, Sean Jordan, who he's touring and stuff now, he said that one time when Emo Phillips came through that little club, he did a version of that where he set an instrument case. It was like something really random, like I want to say a trombone, and he set it on the stage, did 15, 20 minutes worth of jokes. And then, but he made sure people could see it. Like it was in a very visible place.
Yeah.
And then he opened it. And as he's opening it, the case, he's still telling jokes. He never directly acknowledges it, but he starts cleaning it and like assembling it. And then like, making sure that everything's right. And then with about 5 minutes left in his set, he just starts disassembling it and just puts it back in his case, and then closes the show with like closing the case. Never played it. Never mentioned it.
Love it.
Is that, do you think he did that for himself to see if like, hey, like, just for bragging rights, or they're like, I'm going to do this and let's see if I can get away with it? Or
Emo Phillips is a well-known weirdo.
Yeah, I was going to say he's pretty quirky.
But what's the reason?
No, I think most of those guys, I think it is a personal achievement, right? Because it's what you enjoy the most.
I mean, imagine like, and he's been doing it so long that there is something the longer you go, or at least with me too, like, you never want to, or at least I never want to just have it be like masturbatory in the sense that I'm just up there to like please myself. but you do have to fight boredom the longer you go.
Right.
And you start doing maybe riskier material or weirder material or something like that, that just to kind of keep yourself engaged. You know, like you take different chances.
And like Dan's saying, these are not moves for rookies. Like there's stuff that you can say that people couldn't do. Like I worked with a guy one time, a headliner. His first 5 minutes were just moving the stool around. And so like, if I told you, Tom, go up on the stage and just for 5 minutes move the stool around and make people laugh, you could not do it. But this guy had been in the game so fucking long, 5 minutes of just moving the stool around.
That becomes like a SeaWorld mime, right?
Yeah,
like, at some point.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's just like the talent of a stand-up to control the audience, even with minute movements and the way you do things, and like you're talking about minuscule things that you learn that the audience likes. Like that's what really good stand-ups can do, right? You just have so much stage time.
That's where you get your best bits a lot of times too. Like I love my wife Lindsay now, like watching stuff develop. And a couple times now, like she's gotten used to it now after being with me for like over 10 years, where she's like, oh, okay, like more trust in the process.
Right.
But like, some of my weirder bits at first, she's like, that's just, what are you doing? Like, that's just, no one, they don't like that. Like there's this bit on the special that about 2/3 of the way in where I just, this ridiculous rant about hunting and about my brother that got, killed.
It's my favorite part. I loved it. It's so good. But yes, she had a great reaction to that.
Yeah, and a bit like that, when it's so absurd, when you first do it, like it does take a while to get the confidence to be able to commit, especially if it's like a long 8-10 minute bit, because you're going to lose a lot of people for a while. Like, yeah, I don't know, like that's a much harder bit to pull off than a 30-second, a 60-second, more just traditionally structured joke about something more relatable.
Do you run it by her in private, or do you do it and then she gets it as a like sort of an audience member the same way, and then you guys talk about it later?
No, I more force premises on her constantly that she doesn't want to hear.
Okay, yes, excellent.
Dan, let me.
That's the way I do it.
Let me ask you, because my wife lately has been going to some shows with me, and like she likes it when I succeed. But for example, I did a Christmas show a few months ago, and it was like a concept thing, and I did a bit, and I ate a fucking dick, and my wife was in the audience, and she loved it. Does your wife like it better when you succeed or when you bomb?
Interesting.
She likes, like, now she's becoming like a jaded comic in the sense she doesn't. I wouldn't say she likes it when I bomb, but she does like it when things get real uncomfortable, like for the audience, or just like they don't understand what's going on. Like I've been doing a new hour lately, but it's pretty raw and experimental. And the last time I was doing it in Spokane, I had just watched Batman. Oh my God, the one with Tom Hardy, Batman Forever, the one with like Bane.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And so I had the Bane voice stuck in my head, and like all day long I was just saying stuff like, "You were merely adopted by the darkness. I was born in it, molded by it."
And I love that.
Doing this weird voice, and then I just started doing that on stage. Nobody else in the audience is laughing, but I could hear Lindsay cackling with like this other comic. Like she likes that stuff. Like just like where they're like confused.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Dan, I'm curious to why comics or anybody becomes more popular in some cities than others. Is it just totally random happenstance, or have you been able to, I'm sure, because you like to analyze everything, have you analyzed, like, why are you more popular in certain cities than others?
It's just like, it depends on what you're putting out there of yourself, how opinionated you are. But I know, like, it's been interesting with Time Suck that way, as far as where the episodes have resonated as the years go by, because it has changed. And like, I would say that 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I did pretty well in cities that tilted maybe like a little more conservative. And then now all of a sudden, after saying things that I've been saying the whole time, but the culture shifted around me, and now I'm doing better in cities that shift a little bit more to the left. It's like, it's weird where even if you're staying the same basically in your point of view, as the election cycle gets going, or it's just so weird to me what triggers people. Like the big thing lately has been LGBTQIA plus stuff. It's like, I've been an ally the whole time. No one cared about that until about 6 months ago. And then all of a sudden it was like people just losing their minds because of like weird online propaganda. And that can take different forms, like during the pandemic when the riots were happening, I've always also been pretty pro law enforcement. And all of a sudden I was a monster, where it's like a year before, nobody cared. So it just, for me, it varies on like how the culture is kind of shifting.
So speaking of politics, and this is not political at all. This is more ageist, because we like to stay away from politics, and we like to make fun of it. Me and Daniel, and I know you do too, Dan.
I thought I told you not to bring this up because I cannot not laugh at this. I'm sick.
Okay.
Well, are you talking about Mitch McConnell?
Yes. Yeah. Oh my God! Every time it's shown to me, no matter what, just a picture of him, and I just bust out laughing.
How do we have, like, between him and Biden? It's like, it looks like every time I watch either one of them talk, I'm like, you're maybe 10 seconds away from just dying in front of us.
But why, as a society, like, we're everything else, we're racist, we're sexist, but we're not ageist enough. Like,
I am. I totally am. I am very ageist.
It's dumb old white men.
Why don't
they run the world?
Why don't we just hate more old people, or at least be ageist against them?
I hated an old lady
You're
this morning.
supposed to respect the elderly, right?
But why can't we all, as a society, like, be like, once you reach a certain age, your brain doesn't work as well.
Right.
Your brain is old.
You respectfully put them out on an ice floe and push them out to sea. Very respectfully.
Yeah, the alley-oop way. Yeah, no, it's like, it's like, I do respect, like, wisdom and stuff from the elders, but when your brain is clearly degrading in front of us, like when you are now, again, it was so uncomfortable, that last thing where he just blanked out.
When your brain stops for 30 seconds, that's a problem.
We've seen Mitch McConnell have 2 strokes now. Like, we've actually witnessed it.
I was really glad to be there.
And they medically cleared him this morning.
I was like, what is this? My God. And, I even like that girl. Remember the Tasm girl, the Tasm girl? I love it when people freak out and have accidents on camera. I love it.
And this is, and even like, Dan mentioned Biden and stuff. I can't even watch when he's
when he falls down. Oh, I love to watch him fall down.
When he's rambling on, I'm like, oh, uncomfortable. I can't watch it. It's like, why?
Remember on the Navy stage? On the Navy stage, he fell over. Oh my God, that's a good one. I love watching old people do
as
stuff.
A society, why can't we just be like, let's elect some younger people, no matter what you
feel like I've been saying that my whole life.
But hold on, then we won't have any of these great videos. I'll just let you know. You be careful what you wish for.
They won't freeze.
I want my freezers back.
I have a new dream, which is to be that lady who steps into the scene and blames the guy who asked the question for Mitch McConnell having a fucking stroke.
I know.
You froze him.
Does anybody have a question?
Does anybody have another question?
That one. How about a question that doesn't stroke him out, you asshole?
So
no, it is crazy where it's like my thing when people are that old is like, we need to think more long term with politics in the U.S. It's like so many problems. Like, we're not going to fix them in a year. We're not going to fix them in 2 years. It takes like a full generation to turn certain things around. And if you have somebody who is a year away from death, maybe, like, they don't have a lot of incentive, I feel like, a lot of skin in the game to want to do things that might not be the greatest thing now, but will be great in 5, 10, 20 years. It's like, that's why I would like people about 20, 30 years younger, still have some experience, but not be so close to death that you're like, I'm just going to think about what's good right this second.
Right.
Yeah. So, Dan, I got to ask you about your son. He went to college. I follow you on Instagram.
Man, I got a little. That gave me some dad heat. I read that, and it got me in the heart, man.
Yeah, it scared me for whatever.
Yeah, that was a rattler.
My sons are only 8 and 9 right now, but it reminded me that they're going to leave the house one day and go off on their own, and I know
not necessarily.
But it was like
but you guys caught them pretty good.
The way things are going.
You guys caught them real
I'd
good.
rather them stay.
Dad, I've told him there is a liquor store very close to their house that they can work at.
So how was that, Dan?
It was emotional. It was way more emotional for me, at least, than I expected, where, it's like, it's that thing when it's out in the distance to talk about, like, we do believe that we want our kids to go far away from home and, like, find yourself and, like, reimagine yourself and figure out who you are. And then if you want to come back, great. And that is like a super good perspective and cool thing to say until they leave. And then there's the feelings of like, you know what? I mean, you were doing pretty well at Jimmy John's. you could maybe drop out, take a year off. We could just hang, dude. Let's just play some FIFA in the basement again. Like
Oh,
it was
FIFA. Oh, my God. You're getting me, man. I got
Yeah, it was
Maisie
just,
playing.
Don't leave me.
Yeah.
Don't leave.
Yeah, I got Maisie playing Madden now. She's playing video games with me. It's like having my best friend. And then I have my dog, and I know how you are about your dogs. And I have him beside me, and I have my two best friends locked and loaded at my side. And oh, my God. It's scary.
Yeah.
Just keep feeding that relationship, knowing that when she leaves the house, she will absolutely forget all about you.
I know. She already does. She already does, man.
No, it is crazy where it's like, I mean, I'm sure he misses us, but it's a funny thing when you drop him off. And it was like the same experience. We've talked to other parents and we would see it firsthand there, where it's like, we're all clingy. We're all like the clingy, girlfriend who just won't leave now. We're moving him in and we're like, hey, let's walk around the campus. And he's being really nice. And he's like, yeah, okay, no, that's cool. And his body language is getting more like uncomfortable. And you could tell like when we finally left, for us, it was like teary eyed and, crying, like hugging him too long. And for him, it was like, get away from me. I'm trying to hang out with my friends and you're making me look like a dork.
Yeah. Can I be serious for a second? Like, do you take that as because I've always looked at you and Lindsay and like I see what you guys do and we've made jokes about it with our relationship with you guys, but I think you guys are like top tier parents and I admire how you do it. Do you take that as like I did a good job because look at how confident he's ready to go, like as a compliment?
Logically you do, but like emotionally it's still like, oh, this hurts a little bit still. So like, yes, like we are so glad. And Lindsay actually was talking about that. She was like, how terrible would it have been if we're like, dude, come on, you have to go there. You have to spread your wings. And then they're pushing back against that. Then that would be super sad, where they just don't feel confident and secure enough in themselves to like have left the nets. So we actually, on a non-emotional level, just looking at it a little more pragmatically or whatever, it's like, okay, we did the right thing. He's a confident dude. He's very confident. Like he's very sure of himself.
Yeah,
how
he's funny too, man. You guys are funny together.
Is the school far away?
Yes, it is. We haven't said where it is just because it's small.
Sure.
We get some like just in case. Just I do worry about some of the things I say. Sometimes they're a little more inflammatory. I don't want him to get like blowback. But yeah, he went clear across the country. So he's East Coast.
Well, I mean, I guess with your touring schedule and stuff, like, do you like factor that in? Where like, all right, next year I'm gonna,
you're gonna pop in and surprise him, right? Because that's what you do. You pop in and surprise them because they love that when you pop it and surprise them.
Yep. No, we actually totally planned out a bunch of East Coast shows. Just so we could be like, hey, bring your friends over here.
So there you go, Tom. You narrowed it down enough so where if somebody is stalking his kid, they can just look at his tour dates next year. There you go. Congratulations.
Northeast or southeast? So
first letter
warmer.
Let me sneak one in here, Tom, because while we're talking about your wife and kid, Dan, I know, like, as a comic and as a family man, I pay close attention to the fact that, like, other than you, and I'm going to say Jim Gaffigan, every other male comic, at least in the world, gets divorced and fucking leaves his fucking family behind. Like, how did you avoid? I'm serious.
You're not wrong.
Name a fucking comic, and they've been divorced, and they were a guy who loved their wife previous to that.
So many, man.
Did you what specific steps did you have to take to like have a career and keep your family together?
Well, I did get divorced, so I am part of like my kids are with my.
I am right. Thank you.
All right. Fair.
No, but even then, it wasn't the typical thing where it's like, like certain. I would say since the divorce, but even like before, one thing certain people online or fans will say, they're like, hey, how come we don't see you on a lot of these like podcasts, or how come we don't see you as part of, like on Theo Vaughn or on Tom Segura? And like a lot of it is, I did make a conscious choice to be more present for the kids. I didn't feel like if I'm already touring, when I'm home, even when I was in LA, instead of going out and networking like a lot of comics will do just constantly, I knew it would hurt me somewhat. But also it's like, at the end of the day, 20 years down the road, I didn't want to be like, you know what, you're doing this theater tour and you're doing all the things you want, but like you never saw your kids. I rather would have like worked myself out of the business, but been more present for the kids. So I think like
it's like that old saying, nobody on their deathbed says, I wish I would have done more podcasts.
Also, I kind of feel bad now that you're doing our podcast when you pass on other people that are much better and talented than us.
My God. Theo Vaughn.
No, fuck Segura. This is better.
Like with you guys, it's like I was able to come meet you guys, touring, coming through the Orlando Improv. But what because of trying to be more focused on family, one thing I never did was just like be like a scene stir. Like I was just not on off nights hanging out at the Comedy Store, hanging out at the Laugh Factory, hanging out at, the Melrose Improv or in New York, the Cellar, in those places. And it does hurt you, is like, you don't meet as many people, like you don't meet and you don't become part of like a class of comics almost.
Right. Like a crew or something.
Yeah. Like I relate a lot to Chad Daniels, where it's like him and I came up in these little comedy islands where it's like he's in Fergus Falls, Minnesota. I was in Spokane, Washington, LA for a little bit, but then like Coeur d'Alene for quite a while now too. And you just kind of learn how to do stand-up in a different way. Like, you don't work out on sets as much at random rooms. Your writing style, you have to kind of adapt to just a different style if you want to focus more on family.
But you have like a really, but like both of you guys and Chad Daniels, you both have, I would say, it shaped your styles because they're super unique. Yeah. Like I was actually looking at some comments of your special when I was watching it, and most of the people that were in there that didn't seem to be like people that were podcast listeners of yours said that compliment to you, because I was going to ask you about that, but Tom got there. But yeah, about most people say like, man, this is a very unique style of comedy. And I wonder if you'd been part of a crew, if maybe you'd lost a little bit of that individuality that you now have.
I think so, maybe, because, we're all sponges to a degree. And if you're watching comedy night after night after night after night, for years, it can't help but kind of sink into your head on some level, where it's like, where I've been, I don't watch that much stand-up, especially live. And I watch a lot of dystopian and sci-fi and like weird shows. And it's like, I think that's kind of influenced my brain more than other comics maybe. And I do kind of hold on to this. I didn't even hear this firsthand, but oh my gosh, I feel terrible. I can picture his face. Rory
Scovel.
Oh my gosh,
McElroy.
I'm sorry,
Rory Scovel.
Scovel. Oh my gosh, I just my brain totally spit out his last name.
That's all right, Mitch.
It's happening.
Got him.
He's so much younger.
No, I love Rory, and I've always thought he's really creative too. And I don't even remember how it came up, but somebody was telling me this story about there was a comic working with Rory years ago, and the comic was asking him before the show started, hey man, like, what kind of material should I do here? I've never been like in this city before. Like, I don't know, all these questions about what should I do? And the story as it was told to me was Rory just said to him, who told you there are any rules with this? And that really resonated with me, where it's like, at the end of the day, it's just about, are you entertaining an audience or not? And if you are, then you can do well and have a career. And if you're not, you're not. But it doesn't matter if you have traditional jokes or 20-minute stories or some elements of drama. Like I like what Ali Sadiq has been doing, where there's dramatic elements in a lot of like the stuff. And I think like, when I started in stand-up, a lot of people were hung up on how you're supposed to do it.
Right.
I think what's helped me is just like, no, I just want to talk about whatever I'm interested in, try to make it funny, and that's kind of it.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah, it definitely does.
As a guy who runs an open mic, a lot of those people don't even go to the funny part now.
Yeah.
Dan,
you want them to get there, but they don't.
How was your summer camp this year?
Good. Yeah, we'll be doing that in a few weeks here.
Yeah, man, that's coming up.
I thought it already happened.
No, it's in
it's the end of this month, man.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
23rd through the 25th, 21st.
Yeah,
it's probably going to be when you're in Moab or whatever.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It looks amazing, and this time you're in Pennsylvania, right?
Yeah, this time we went with the. Last year was a crazy amount of work behind the scenes. Last year was like picking a place that was the Boy Scouts actually owned the camp, and trying to modify it into something that worked for us. And you had to get all these third-party vendors for food. Everything had to be outsourced.
Yeah,
and you had to, all this stuff. Where this year we're doing it this place that specializes in custom camps. It's this place called Camp No Counselors. They're incredible. Like we went for a little test run. It is. I never went to summer camp or anything as a kid, but it looks like the coolest camp. They own this huge property with like with a lake and all these big buildings and housing for everybody. And all they do all summer long is run like people's camps.
That's where Macaulay Culkin and Seth Green always go, like every summer.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah, there's like a bunch of like their little friend group used to go there all the time.
Yeah, watch out for the wet bandits.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, going to some place that's already set up for this, because I remember you telling me, Dan, the last time.
It looked like a ton of work.
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
My God.
It's like it was just why we do cruises, it's like it's set up
It's built
for this.
in,
It's all built in.
And
It's
our
easier.
listeners are obese, so it's like it works out.
Yeah,
Because
like,
they're already on the cruise anyway. We just have to go.
Yeah.
When is your guys' next cruise?
Well,
No.
we
Why do
haven't-
you say that, Dan?
We haven't announced it yet.
You were on the
officially,
last one we did, I think.
Yeah.
but we are gonna do one next year, and then so we're about to announce it coming up here in about 3 weeks.
Yeah,
or
they just
so.
need to know what city your son's in. This, they don't know where to set off from.
Yeah. We'll just swing by and pick him up.
All right, I got one last question for you, Dan, and this is a weird one.
Have you ever bought an FOP sticker?
Oh man, have you seen that, Dan?
Have you seen the documentary?
Telemarketers. It's on Max.
What's a FOP sticker?
Fraternal Order of Police.
Jinx.
Gotta get you a code.
There's a new documentary on HBO. We talked about it on our BDM show, but it's a new documentary called Telemarketers, and it goes into this.
I heard about it.
This whole
It's
call
good.
center scam, and like basically these call centers are using the police's name and like the Firefighter Fund of America and the Veterans Fund, and they literally just.
All organizations who specifically do not solicit.
Right.
And they just collect money from people, and
It's a scam. Yeah, big scam, huh?
Yeah, they send you a sticker that they act like will protect you from the police, but it's just a sticker.
Well, it
sound
makes
familiar, Tom?
But we talked about how I fell for this anyway.
Twice. He fell for it twice.
Anyway,
that is so crazy. Where this week's episode, the episode of Time Suck out this week is about an organization built in like volunteer organizations. It's like this huge pyramid scheme of all these volunteer organizations, and at the top of it was actually a cult, like a weird communist cult, where the dude was doing the same thing that religious cults do and sleeping with the young female staff members and making everybody work crazy hours and keeping them tired and berating people. But like beneath that, funding that was actually like all these random organizations that would solicit money from people, like people on a street corner being like, "Hey, would you help the AARS or whatever? We're trying to raise money for migrant workers." And it was all bullshit. It was all just funneling from across the country into this compound in Brooklyn. It's insane.
Sounds very similar.
It's kind of similar. Right? And then what's interesting is they noted that like there's no better person that's better equipped to get money out of someone than an addict. So you hire a bunch of addicts and people like con men or like even criminals or whatever that have, and it's like those people can scam people out of money, even small amounts, because they've been doing it their whole lives.
And they've done it multiple times with family members. They've done it to people. They've done it before.
And it was interesting that there's no better.
Lying gets easy the more you do it.
Yeah.
Totally.
So this is the weird question, Dan, because I have never experienced this. And
what is sex like?
Anal.
No. And
I've never experienced anal.
I'm just doing the math about like Dan's got a huge audience, and the way Dan looks and presents himself. I imagine that after shows, before shows, anytime he does meet and greets, usually he's like I'm thinking
knew you were horny today.
An after the show thing where I'm like, I bet Dan has to deal with a lot of drunk women throwing themselves in.
Hell is the feeder.
And then it's like you want to be nice to them, and then how do you deflect that? I imagine it's hordes of drunk, horny women.
Do you want him to tell you like?
What kind of weird fantasies do you have?
No, it's not a fantasy. It's
a fantasy for you, obviously.
No, because Dan's beefy guy. He's got a beard, tattoos. Like I mentioned, a lot of women. He's a comedian. Women like that. And so after the show, they get sauced up, and they're
when
like,
you say I imagine, that's a fantasy.
Right.
Yeah.
He doesn't get that part.
So according to Tom, he says Dan's a beefy
guy.
How do you handle it?
Come on.
Beefy Dan.
He's hilarious and beefy.
No, it would be the same.
I
as
get sauced up.
No, it would be like asking Nikki Glazer how she deals with sexual harassment.
God, remember when she came in here and talked about fingering herself for like 20 fucking minutes? I could not stop thinking about that for a week and a fucking half.
It's logically in my mind going to happen all the time to this person.
Now it's logically in his mind, not a fantasy.
When the ladies are sauced up, is it hard to be beefy?
Yeah. Is it hard to get all the women that are throwing themselves at you off of you?
I mean, before Lindsay, It's like, when I was like single for a couple years before, it's like, yeah, when you're single, I mean, I don't know what everybody thinks, but for me, I was like, yeah, this is great. Some like attention or whatever. With Lindsay, when we do the meet and greets this last couple of years, it's like, well, one, I do a podcast with her. So a lot of our fans, she's very present in their ears.
They're fans and they respect her too.
Yeah. And then for we did like a bunch of VIP meet and greets for this like theater tour we did in the spring, but she was at every meet and greet. So it would be pretty ballsy, like in front of her. I mean, you'd pick up on a flirty vibe here and there, but people do get weird other than that. Like I remember and this one was with Lindsay there, but it was in a club in Alabama, cool club actually, Huntsville, Alabama. And this lady just came up. I don't know if her and her husband were swingers or what. I got a different vibe from both of them, but she just straight up grabbed my junk like that was an okay thing to do in a merch line. Like
I'll take one of these.
right.
That
is
my God.
That is the thing for me where it's like,
it's a pop socket
for a woman where you might be afraid of like, I mean, you're being assaulted, but also there's like I don't know, they're bigger or whatever, like a different kind of fear. For me, I didn't feel like violated. Maybe I don't have the right boundaries, but I was just like, what goes in your head to make you think in public that's an acceptable way to interact with someone?
I'm with you. Andrea will let slam hogs grab my dick all the time, and I'm cool with it. I'm cool with it because it's like, it's all I got left. I'm dying, so I'm like...
She wants it.
Yeah, she wanted it, and then Andrea's just like, that slam hog doing it again.
Now, was she a celebrity? Because I've heard if you're a celebrity, you can just come up and grab them right by the nuts.
I don't know who this lady was. This lady was just...
out of line then.
How was the grip? Was it? Did she really get it? Did she really like get a whole?
Oh yeah.
Or was it like a frat boy tap?
No, it was a full like grab. Like I want to I want to see what you're working with. Like grab.
I like that, but I have prostatitis too, so it can hurt a little bit. I'm like, ow! I'm like, wowie! It's tender down there.
Again, I want to remind everybody to watch Dan Cummins special on YouTube. Trying to get better.
Yeah.
It just
the
came
hunting
out.
story. #hunting story.
It's an awesome special. Dan, thanks so much for taking the time to come on the show and talk to us.
Oh yeah, thanks for having me. And it was good to see you, Ross. Man,
it's a camera's
good
just
to
been
see
on
you
Ross
too, Dan.
I meant like last time he wasn't there. So yeah, it was cool to see,
it's very good to see you, man. Hey, thanks for everything. We'll talk to you soon. All right.
All right, talk to you guys soon. Thank you.
Later,
See you,
man.
Dan.
Be good.
You took him away from his family.
I know, we did. We did take him away from his family.
If I'm not mistaken, that's what Terry Crews said that, what's his name, from...
Oh, yes.
You know who I'm talking about.
Terry Crews says that he was grabbed by...
The guy that kicked off that show about being president. I can't think of his name right now.
Oh, Kevin Spacey.
Yeah, he said Kevin Spacey grabbed him by the dick and balls.
Yeah.
Like, I think he said multiple people.
Yeah,
right? There was like a producer that did.
Yeah,
too.
yeah. He's had a bunch of like problems. I feel like, yeah. And Terry Crews is a big motherfucker.
He's giant.
Yeah, there's, and he like got all mad at people that were
Just
assuming.
because you're big doesn't mean you're violent. You're gonna.
That was his thing.
But it's an odd.
He'd be the last person I grab because it's fucking Terry Crews.
Well, that just tells you the balls on the people that are no pun
I did
intended
too many
there, but
balls.
that are grabbing him, right?
Too many balls.
It's an odd instinct though when someone like Terry Crews walks in the room and be like, I'm gonna grab this guy's dick and just see what happens.
That's a narcissist for you, man. They're like, they'll like this. I'll grab their balls.
I'll just gamble on the fact that this guy is not going to one punch kill me because he could for sure one punch
Gotta
kill.
take some risks in life.
Kevin Spacey.
Have you ever had your junk grabbed?
Yeah.
I have too. Have you?
Yeah.
No, I can't think offhand.
I have.
Yeah. In like radio days.
Yeah, in radio days.
Yeah, like
Yep.
With like at latitudes or whatever, like some drunk chick or whatever.
Yep.
And then I'm just always like, I'm like, oh.
You're like, what?
I swat it away like a cat.
You did the noise that Bobby Lee does when he's doing an Asian guy.
No, I'm just like, but I don't want to make it
So
awkward.
you're doing Mickey Rooney from Breakfast at Tiffany's when he's the
Dude, I had a guy come up behind me and get me in a chokehold, but a violent chokehold.
Oh yeah, I've had people do that.
Where I was like, I'm like trying to pry my fingers, and then it was at the Amway arena, and then I actually got a little pissed about. I was like, hey.
Oh, you gave him a hey.
But then a little.
I like the da at the
Yeah,
end.
I
That
have
helps.
been, because I'm little, I have been put in a chokehold at almost every monster truck event I ever did. If it was a monster truck event and I was there, some bigger guy would put me in a headlock.
Well, oh, it was a headlock, though. It was, that's what you do.
And they're like, oh, and I'm like, get off of here. Like, I got you. You're standing in a
First
hole.
time I met Carl
Yeah.
Tully, he did that to me, and I told him never to do that shit again.
And I'm
guess
like-
what? He's very scared of me now.
And then I'm like, I'm a grown-ass man. And they're like, no, you're not.
He did what Mike Tyson did to that guy.
Yeah. Hezbollah?
Yeah.
The little guy Hezbollah? Like, Mike Tyson's holding him and rocking him like a baby. Am I Orlando's Hezbollah? If I dress like that, I'm not going to do the brown. I'm just going to dress. I'm just
Do
going to
the
dress.
brown.
Yeah,
Fine.
do the brown. It's a dance.
All right.
Do a dance.
Okay, let's take a
Okay,
break.
let me ask you something.
What?
Should we reset our internet? Because something's happening around here. We're getting slammed.
I don't
So that
know.
whole video of Dan is garbage. It's the Cummins Curse.
It's all Glitch McConnell.
Yeah, yeah, it's all trash.
Everybody in the chat was making fun of it. It's
Yeah.
OLE Part 2.
Yeah.
What is happening?
It's the Cummins Curse.
Hold on.
I'll tell the chat room is so helpful. They know I'm bent out of shape about this, and I'm trying to get back on. But they're like, you
Are
know
you
what?
serious?
Fuck him. Let's just
Yeah,
go.
the whole thing was
Let's
choppy.
just be nasty. Let's.
The Cummins Curse, guys.
It's
It
the
is.
Cummins
It's the
Curse.
Cummins
It's the
Curse.
Cummins
Hold on,
Curse. And
because
I was trying
what is
everything. I'm
is-
dropping the KBPS. I'm over here changing. I
That's-
did everything but drop the call.
I wish he would have just started playing music during his interview.
Oh, man.
That's never. I mean, I don't even remember if that's ever happened to us.
What?
Well, you don't remember most things.
No,
but
it's the Cummins Curse. It's the
Then
Cummins
we've done-
Curse.
like-
Everything was fine.
we did like 5 dozen interviews
Yeah.
this year. That's never happened. And then we get the Cummins Curse now.
Yeah, we got it again. And nobody hates
Crazy.
it more than me. Like, I'll tell you straight up, this has ruined my fucking weekend. It has. Like, he knows me pretty well. You know me pretty well.
Wait until we get the
Ruined my fucking
confrontation of the
weekend.
week.
It ruined my fucking weekend.
Most people listen to the audio.
No, I know.
So it's
But
fine.
I know that.
I know,
But we go to great lengths to try to provide them with great video. And Dan's setup looked fucking awesome. He looked great.
Well, it's his fault. That's the only way to explain it. This hasn't happened. I mean, Sam, has
It's
this happened?
I am not going to victim blame Dan.
It's
Cummins,
it's
but
happened-
I
it's-
did start hashtag Cummins Curse.
It's happened the last 4 times we've had him on the show.
But it's like this has
Yeah.
never happened to any other
No.
interview. Does anybody in
We've
Twitch?
had
We've had to get a little spotty, but not like that.
Right,
That
not
was
a full
that was
45.
literally, it just froze for 45.
Yeah.
And it did it like it was like, and here's Dan Cummins, and ruin it. That's how it did it. I was so fucking mad over here. And thanks again to the chat room for being so caring and nice about it. You fucking assholes.
All right. Well, let's take a break. Maybe.
Do you want me to reset it?
Yeah, you have to reset it. Do you
Oh, that would never come back.
I mean,
do you need me to blow on anything?
Hey.
That's the only
you can
way.
grab it. If you
How
grab
do you
it.
deal with these guys that want to blow you all the time, Dan?
That's the only
I've
way.
been trying to get you to Island Boy me all week, and he will not do it. But
God,
I
that was
said,
Was that real?
No.
It's
Okay.
trolling.
I mean, they kissed.
Okay.
They
It's
kissed for
trolling,
real.
but did you see the video? I couldn't describe it when we were talking about it. Now I can talk about it before we get a break. There's a video of one of the I was going to call them the Lonely Boys. One of the Island Boys in the kitchen, and he pulls his dick out, and I think it's like a plastic dick, and the other Island Boy starts blowing him. And I watch it uncensored. I was like, whoa! Like, I sat on